And everyone's in the room, right? Samira?
Yes, we're all here.
Okay. Sometimes you let the participants in.
As far as they'll be able to continue to join.
Okay, great. All right, so let's get started officially. Thanks you, everyone. Welcome to session number 3 of our 4th set of SBA Community Navigator webinars. My name is John Walls. I'm co-director of the Entrepreneurship Center for the Los Angeles Urban League. I'm here with my colleague Ty Umo, who also works with the Urban League. And Ken Allen is our other co-director for the center. You all might be familiar with Crystal Mitchell, the instructor for tonight's seminar, but why don't I go through her background just for those who might not be, although Crystal's kind of famous. But anyway, Crystal is a business coach, an entrepreneur, educator, trainer, small business, QuickBooks Pro advisor, forensic financial strategist, podcast host speaker, certified adult and youth entrepreneur educator, and much, much more. I'm tired just talking about all the things that Crystal does because she's so accomplished. For 30+ years, Crystal has provided entrepreneurs and small business owners with technical assistance, access to the tools, mentorship, and resources necessary to support each stage of business development and growth in order for them to achieve success in their business. And above and beyond all that, Crystal is one of our highly valued one-on-one counselors for the Entrepreneurship Center. And so we're very lucky to have her this evening. Her passion for small business and focus on providing the advice needed for companies to get to the next level is a great benefit to everyone. Let me just say that this is an SBA initiative which started with COVID and the damage the pandemic inflicted on small businesses. Initially, it was for financial support that evolved into a nationwide program called this Community Navigators Pilot Program. Very awkward name, but very good program. And it's very high focus on knowledge and access to capital. The webinar series is part of a program of 7 classes. It covers core business activities, including marketing, financial management, and access to capital, as many of you know. And it takes place every Wednesday, 5 to 7 p.m. And we'll continue to do so for this cohort of classes through December via Zoom. Just want to remind everyone that above and beyond these classes, the LAUL can offer a range of services and tools beyond what you'll see in this series. So please, if you haven't already done, please register with us as a client. You'll be assigned to a business counselor, somebody spectacular like Crystal, and you'll get direct and ongoing advice from them. You'll be notified about our events here at LUL, which include things that are focused on banks and other types of lenders and access to them. We'll also keep you informed about the various grant opportunities that we have. And it's just a good venue to seek advice on industry issues and opportunities. With that, I will stop my introduction and turn the floor over to Crystal for tonight's presentation. Crystal, take it away.
All right, thank you guys. It's always a pleasure to come and speak to Urban League and Urban League's members. I'm like an honorary member of the Urban League. Sometimes people don't know if I'm with the Urban League or Recycling Black Dollars. So I do a lot of crossing over. So thank you guys, and thank you for those great compliments. I guess my passion comes, and all that whole litany of what I do comes from the passion that I have for serving my community. So I am glad to be here. And welcome to everyone. The class tonight is on cash flow and how to float your business and how to manage your cash flow. And I'm going to tell you guys, it's going to be really essential that you understand this concept of your business, because in 2023, from what we're hearing from the bankers and other entities, the likelihood of us being in a full-fledged recession seems very probable. Hopefully not, but if it does, that means we really truly have to monitor the monies that are coming into our business, and most importantly, the money that's going out. So one of the ways of doing that is understanding how the cash flows through your business and what you need to do to be able to stop the bleeding if that does happen. So I'm excited to talk about this subject. Financials and accounting and bookkeeping is actually the core of my business. That's how I started 30 years ago. And it just kind of metamorphed into coaching and some forensic strategies, mainly because I was able to see firsthand what was happening in our small business community when it came to their financials. So there's a whole structure, and the more solid and solidified your financial structure is of your business, the more success likely you will be successful in carrying your business through beyond the first couple of years. So understanding the flow of cash into and out of your business helps ensure you always have enough funds available to pay your bills. Even if you're taking in lots of sales, you can still find yourself cash strapped if the money from those sales doesn't reach your bank account in time to meet your monthly obligations. Cash flow is defined as the amount of money entering and leaving your business over a given period of time. Cash flow is important because it enables you to meet your existing financial obligations as well as plan for your future. Yet cash flow is a common challenge amongst small businesses, large businesses, definitely startup businesses, and understanding your cash flow will help you manage your accounts and ensure you always have enough funds to pay your bills and grow your business. Now, John has already given you the who I am. So I'm going to ask you guys, there's 13 of you. So, and I think we have enough time for you to put in the chat, what is your business? Who am I going to be speaking with tonight? It gives me some understanding or how I need to guide the conversation. And if I can provide, I want to make sure everyone walks away with something that they can actually implement or at least give much thought to when they leave this webinar tonight. So I would appreciate it if you guys just pop in the chat what you do. What are your guys' industries you're in? What's your businesses? And how long you've been in business? Greg, you want to kick it off for me? Greg is in financial services and he's my cheerleader, and he's also one of my business partners in one of the podcasts I do, the community briefing, which we do every Thursday at 11 a.m. He's absolutely amazing, and he is just as knowledgeable in this financial space as I am, if not more so, because he's been doing it for as long as I have, I think, or maybe even a little longer. Okay, who's next? Nicole, what do you do? A realtor, okay. And I'm going to be sitting in the back row. Thank you, Greg. If you have anything that you want to add to it, I so appreciate it. Affiliate, creative professional, currently working. Let me see. Now you guys are all racing to do this. Okay. Working in a photo booth company as an independent contractor and running an online fashion and art store. Okay. Arcelio, you like me. I'm a serial entrepreneur. Video production will not be able to type in chat because I'm driving. All right. So be safe out there. IT, just getting started. Also building my business as a vendor with the county. Oh, really important to understand your cash flow. And Yovanda, oh, what a nice name, from Cuties Catering, comfort food. Oh, so that means like macaroni, cheese, potato salad, things like that. And Theo is a music license. Oh, let's see, music licensing music for TV, television. Oh, what a unique business! Also a current MBA candidate at the University of Michigan. Go Blue! All righty, okay, guys. So good. This gives me an idea. in various areas, especially say in the food industry, really understanding how your money comes in. If you're running a restaurant, that could be a bit challenging. Making sure you have enough money every day, on a regular basis to process your and to purchase your raw materials, and as well as to pay your staff so that you can actually carry out the services of your business. Very, very important. Nutritionist and herbalist with a holistic wellness consulting practice. Well, I'm glad to meet all of you. Thank you for participating and letting me know who you are. So, basic business survival. Attorney Donna Brown, also Auntie Donna Brown, the auntie that you never knew you needed. I'm a brand specialist, a strategist, and a federal trademark attorney for those who want to build iconic brands that can be licensed for income. Attorney or Auntie Donna Brown, we need you to come talk to our youth, our Los Angeles Urban League youth program, and talk to the kids about trademarks. So please put your information in the chat and let's you and I get together so that we can make that happen. So the basic survival of business there are two key factors for business survival. One is profitability. It is important if the business is to generate revenue, income in excess of the expenses incurred in operating the business. Okay. Everyone that's in business, your ultimate goal is to make money. All right. A really good friend of mine and one of the former president of the Los Angeles Urban League, he was he's very fondly a fond statement of his was, make no mistake, you're in business to make money. And more than just make money just to pay your bills and pay yourself, but to be profitable in your business. That should be ultimately our everyone's goal. And trust me, I have had many a client that were making far less money in their own business than they were when they were working for an employer. So that is one of the, in my opinion, after you've been in business for 3 to 5 years, that if you're not making any more than you were making when you left your employer, then you have some serious thinking to do and decision making to do. The next key factor is solvency. Solvency of a business is important because it looks at the ability of the business in meeting its financial obligations. So in order for you to grow your business, to scale your business, you have to make sure that you're in a position to pay your bills, and that at the minimum, that's not why we're in business, but at the minimum that you break even so that all of you have all the resources, all the revenue that you need in order to keep the business active and moving forward and growing. That is what we're looking for. So 2 key factors for everyone to remember is probability and solvency. Now, in 2020, the world turned upside down, and it's not the first time it turned upside down. It just kind of, the only thing different this go round was it came to a complete full stop, and everyone got off the train and had to wait to look board and get back on to a year and a half or almost 2 years later. But the world turned upside down, and consequently, money stopped. Business stopped for some people, and businesses were in had a lot of problems during that time. So let me ask you guys, for those of you that were in business, some of you are just starting out, how did the pandemic affect your business, whether it was for the positive or for the negative? Can you put that in the chat? How did it affect it? Did your business just dry up? Positive. Okay, Brittany. Yeah, Brittany, you were like hitting a brick wall at 80 miles an hour. I had more time to focus on my business, right, Nicole? We were able to redirect our focus and make sure we were working on our business and not just working in our business. Um, not sure since I started. Okay, so you started afterwards. So for some, it was a big challenge. Although many of the businesses were able to tolerate the upheaval, and some actually did more than tolerate, they actually excelled. Some of them literally changed the whole concept of their business, but plenty wasn't able to make it through the crises um, and the economic recession, and quite a few of them had to close their doors. The pandemic actually posed some unprecedented challenges for entrepreneurs, decimating business for some while sending other sales soaring. Every brand in the industry was affected in one way and another. And although many companies were able to tolerate it, plenty still had a real difficult time. If it had not been for the relief from the federal government with the PPP monies, the assistance with unemployment for those that were entrepreneurs, and as well as some of the loans that were generated and the grants that were available, a lot of businesses just would not have been able to make it because they just, yes, the idle SBA loans. The federal government approximated that over 400 plus actually businesses permanently closed their doors. One report found that 41% of the Black-owned businesses had been shuttered by COVID, and compared to the 17% of white-owned businesses. So if your business is alive today, know that you had done something right, or you at least got the help that you needed to make that happen. Let's see. Auntie Brown says, I was a COVID business. It allowed me to retire 2 decades in from the federal government and began helping others with who are FTEs, and slowly initially, but the COVID businesses have been giving me a steady flow. Awesome. Yeah, new businesses actually were able to rise up in a new space, because now there was a new pain and a new need for you to start businesses based upon some of the skills that you had. So it's great. So, some people didn't make it, but there's two stories behind some people that didn't make it. Some couldn't make it because they weren't making it before, because they had such small margins that it did not take it just took a sneeze and their house was blown over. Others did have some reserves in place, and they were able to jump on opportunities that appeared, and they were able to survive. But one of the things I find was a positive from it was so many years I've been talking to my clients about being better prepared and what they had to do, and that they had to manage the accounting part of their business and the financial part of their business, and they had to be much more knowledgeable of that. And so, as consequently, now finally my words were not falling on deaf ears. Now they were being absorbed, and I myself have been incredibly busy since 2020. It's been just overwhelming in some instances. How many people were in need and still are in need. So, but I want you guys to be ready for the next time we have a crisis, because a crisis is like 2 seconds away from you. And so you want to make sure that you are ready. So you're going to learn some tools and some tips tonight that's going to better prepare you for the next crisis that's around the corner. So what separated the survivors from the business casualties? Anyone have any idea? What separated you? Nobody? All right. So let's see, there's somebody that answered. Perseverance, reserve, and profit. Exactly. The ability to adapt and refocus. Yes, Greg. And profitable. There you go, Auntie Donna Brown. A profitable business model. Nicole says she actually acquired a mentor and the ability to pivot. Very, very, very true. All of those statements. What separated them, it all came, and here's the other part, it all came down to cash flow. Knowing how much cash that flowed in their business and flowed out of their business, and being able to forecast how much it would be moving in and out in the near future, and the most critical indicator of whether or not the brand would make it. So being really knowledgeable of what their business was capable of doing, being able to recognize opportunities that was waiting there for them, to do a pivot in order for them to continue generating revenue when a time, and being flexible, as well as not only doing business face to face, but had already adopted an ability to do business online, because that became the lifesaver right there. The life preserver was being able to pivot and get online, find your customers online, and be able to continue your business. Those folks that had been in denial about how valuable having a hybrid type of business was, learned the hard way that when everything stopped, they had no access to their clients. They didn't have phone numbers. They didn't have emails. They didn't have anything. So that was it, just dried up. So to say that understanding cash flow is important is an understatement. It is actually the life and death of your business. There's nothing more important to your business survival than its cash flow. You can say it is your product's taste and quality. And all that is true, and that will make you successful. But if there is no money and the money runs out and it stops, it doesn't matter. Once you run out of money, there is nothing that you can do about it. And if an opportunity or a challenge came up like we had in 2020, then it literally could kill your business. Yeah, the transportation business was dying. In some cases, though, the transportation and logistical industry was already going to be hit hard because of the new legislation of the AB5 in the state of California. That was going to really make some major adjustments and put a number of truckers out of business, mainly because they no longer could be independent contractors. They had to become employees of the companies that they were doing business for. So many things that can happen. And that's why it's important not to be concerned about what can happen, and what is the name of this crisis is you getting in a position so that it doesn't matter what the crisis is, you are going to be ready irregardless. So the objectives tonight is introduction to cash flow, understand the cash flow cycle and the importance of cash flow and it flowing into your business, identify some major causes of cash flow problems, find strategies to improve your cash flow, and gain knowledge on eliminating waste to improve cash, the cash flow, and learn how to forecast it. So these are all of the things that will save you no matter what the next crisis is going to be. So the better you understand this concept of your business, the more successful you will be. So cash flow is, I like to equate it to the human body. The blood transports oxygen from the lungs to the cells of the body where it is needed for metabolism. So does the cash that flows through your business. Without the cash, the business dies a slow death. So if you didn't have blood circulating through your body, you would literally stop existing. And that's the same thing with your business. So what is cash flow? Cash flow is the money flowing in and the money flowing out of your business every month. And although it sometimes seems that cash flow only goes one way out of the business, it comes back. It's a flow. It's coming in and it's going out. Now, the idea is, can you make sure when it comes through that it doesn't speed through and get out before you actually can benefit from it. So that is up to you to make sure that you moderate how fast and how slow it moves through your business, right? If it comes through fast and then it's gone before you actually get to the end of the month, that's a problem. That's the same thing in your household. If your salary doesn't make it to the end of the month and you have more month than you have money, then at home you have a cash flow problem. So in business, it's the exact same thing. You want to make sure you understand what's driving it, and that you do have some controls of how it comes in and how it goes out each month. So although it seems sometimes that cash flow is moving at a rapid stage, it goes both ways over any given period of time throughout the month. Nope, you just hopped on. Oh, okay. So that was a message outside of me. Okay. So managing your cash flow. First of all, cash is coming in from your clients who are and your customers who are buying your products and your services. If you are doing a business where you're invoicing for your services and then your customers are paying you over a period of time, this is called your collection of your accounts receivable. So understanding the language that goes along with this is also very important. So obviously cash coming in is the revenue that is being generated from the sale of your products and services. If you are a cash-based business, and that is called an accrual business, a cash-based business, then the money's coming in probably on a steady pace, depending on what you're selling. I mean, that's like a convenience store. You know, your customers come in exchange for the product. They give you cash. Now you take that cash and you go back to restock your shelves. Now, I have found with my clients, cash-based businesses appear to have more money that is readily available to them just because it's coming in on a continual basis. But you don't know for sure what that looks like until the end of the month when you take a tally of actually the total amount that came in and the total amount that went out. But it just appears that money is always flowing in the business because it actually looks like that. But those of us that do different, if we provide services, a lot of times we get paid after we execute the service, and generally that happens on some sort of term that was outlined in the contract with the clients that you're doing. And if that's the case, now you're waiting for your money to come in. You're still providing services, but now there's a time frame when that money come in. It may be coming in right away, due upon receipt, or it may be on a net 15 or a net 30, but it's going to be a while before you actually get it, right? So that creates a problem when it comes to the money flowing out of your business. So when that happens, it's coming in, your rent is due on the 1st, your payroll may be due weekly or bi-weekly. You have mortgage payments, you have loan payments that you have to make, payroll, taxes, and then replenish your stock. That's when you really understand that you may have a cash flow problem. So payments going out is called accounts payable. So the idea is to manage the amount of money coming in through your accounts receivable, and then to manage the money going out with your accounts payable. Managing your cash flow is vital for your survival and growth. Although it sometimes seems cash flow versus real cash. Some businesses, like, as I said, restaurants and other retailers, cash is really cash, right? It's paper money, it's currency. They may be using some sort of application, Cash App, Venmo, whatever it is. It comes and it goes directly into your bank at that given point in time. businesses take the cash from the customers and then you use that cash in order to run your business, right? So the trick is being able to make sure that you have enough to cover all of your financial obligations, and that you have enough that can cover you in the event that there's a crisis on the horizon. So we're going to talk about that today. Um, when we think of cash flow, it's a picture of your business's checking account over time. If more money's coming in than is going out, then you will have a positive cash flow. We all feel good about that, right? We all feel good when we open up our bank accounts and we see that there's a nice, healthy balance. Now, I don't know about you guys. When my bank account gets below a certain point, I get a little anxious, right? Because I know I have obligations that are going to occur at the same time, month after month after month. And I know that I have to have money in order to pay those. So I get a little nervous about that. So you always want to make sure you have enough money to pay your bills. And if it's coming in the way it's supposed to come in, and you dictate how it's supposed to come in, you won't be in danger of being overdrawn or not being able to meet your obligations. And it's always easier to run a business when you are so sure that you have what you need in order to grow your business. If not, then that adds on, in addition to, if you're going to make enough sales, it adds on to the pressure, because then you're going to have your bill collectors and vendors and suppliers are going to be calling you, and they're going to be asking for money, and you have no idea where it's going to come from. So the lack of cash is one of the biggest reasons small businesses fail. It's also basically running out of money, and it will shut you down faster than anything else. Now, the way we manage that is we measure, we set the timing of how the cash flow comes into the business and how it goes out. You have control over that. I have a client, she a young girl, and she is doing extremely well. She's been in business for 11 months. I'm actually very proud of her. 11 months, and she's already made $300 something thousand in her business. But the problem was, it was beautiful when she first got her contract, but her contract is with one contractor. And so now she had to she's up against a bidding system now. They gave her a chance in the very beginning because they liked her, and she was a new business, and she worked really hard. Now, the owner of the business wanted to see other contractors. He wanted to see other bids come in. So now she's in a bidding situation, and she's not sure that she's going to be able to win the bid. But that was her only client. So now what happens to her business? And so she has just been panicked over that. So we had to really go through her numbers and understand how her cash was flowing. She happens to run her business very lean. So she does have enough revenue or enough reserves to cover her for 3 months, which will give her some time to get in a new contract, but she's got to work quite quickly. And so you never want to be in a position where you create your own cash flow problem. So the key to running your business efficiently is learning to balance the timing of the amount of expenses versus the amount of income. And you never, ever, ever, ever want to have all your eggs in one basket, where one person is that one client no longer is your client, and that's it. The cash just dries up after a period of time. So, but the one thing that doesn't dry up is your monthly financial obligations, especially if it's like hitting a wall at 80 miles an hour, especially if these obligations are on a contract and you have to pay them every single month at the exact same time. So now what happens? Where do you get the cash so that you can pay your bill? Now you got a whole lot of stress. And for about 3 to 6 months, you have to make some really excruciating decisions. You're going to stay in. So we're having this discussion is making sure we have enough money that we can pay our financial obligations, and we can also be able to purchase our raw materials and our supplies in order to continue on our business, right? Or we can pay our employees, because if we don't have the manpower and we don't pay our manpower, then that too will slow up the process. So your whole idea is making sure that you are creating a profit and you have contingencies in place for anything that may happen in your business. Because as Greg says, you know, hitting that wall at 80 miles an hour, knowing that you're going to crash, is not a good feeling for an entrepreneur, for a small business owner. Running a business is not easy. And a lot of us think all I need is just to have an abundance of money. Good concept, but not necessarily true. If you don't with that money, and you're not spending that money wisely and really understanding how money works, it doesn't matter how much money you have, you're going to find yourself back at the same place time and time again. It's once you understand how it flows and how it works, then you can make some better decisions. So negative cash flow. This occurs when your cash is greater than your outflow is greater than your incoming cash, your inflows. Without cash in the business, bills can't get paid. This generally spells trouble for a business, and the company will be forced to go out of business if steps aren't not taken to remedy the solution. So first thing most people say, I'll get a loan. But a loan is a debt that still has to be paid back. So sometimes that's not the answer either, because now you just have another financial obligation that you have to meet. Yeah, it shored you up for a minute, but then you still have to have the money to pay that loan. So what you want to do is to ensure that you get your negative cash flow under control, and that you see that happening sooner than later, and you are able to counteract it before it actually happens. So you can either increase your cash flow in and make sure that you have enough for the cash flow going out. So the way we do that is called a cash flow cycle. The cash flow cycle is showing you exactly where the money is going and how it converts. So they call this the cash conversion cycle. It is one of the several measures of management efficiency. It measures how fast a company can convert cash on hand into even more cash on hand. The CCC does this by following the cash or the capital investment, or as it is first converted into inventory and accounts payable. Remember, that's your money going out through sales and accounts receivable, and then back into cash. So generally, the lower number for the CCC, the better it is for the company. The companies with a low CC are often companies. If you provide services to your client and more sales doesn't always equate to more cash, businesses enjoying fast growth sales can make a mistake in believing that a large number of orders is ample for them to stay alive. But if you can't pay for the overhead until the invoice is clear, then this creates an issue. So you have to understand, how fast can I convert my inventory, so this is what you're selling, and my services into sales, and then back into cash. So that's the idea, right? So how soon, how many customers, if you're selling a product, how many widgets do you have to sell in a day to make sure that you're breaking even, and that money can be converted in cash, which then goes into your bank account, which then goes to go back to pay your expenses. How many services do you have to pursue? How many clients do you have to see in a day or a month in order to make sure you convert your cash, convert your capital back into cash? Make sense to everyone? Let me ask that question. How many of you know what it takes for how many clients you need to see, or how many products you need to see for you to generate income, cash coming into your business? Just pop it in the chat for me. How many clients do you need to see just to break even? Sarah says she will check. Right? And how many of you truly know what your total expenses are for every month? Nothing outside of the norm, your regular basic expenses every single month. Do you guys know what that is? But does that, Sarah says, does that mean I need to lower the cost of my product? What you're buying your raw materials for? Is that what you're asking, Sarah? Okay. Let's go back up here. Let me see that question again. Maybe two. Okay. So Nicole says, maybe 1 to 2 to close an escrow. Escrows usually take a little time, don't they? Real estate takes time. What, 3 to 6 months for a deal to close? If you're lucky. Real estate agents really, my sister's a real estate agent, so I know exactly what that process is. So you have to have more than one house that you're trying to sell. Basically, you want to be able to stagger it so money's coming in, but there's so many variables that can hold up that process that it can take you quite a long time to actually, you get a big paycheck, but it does take a long time to get to that big paycheck. So for you, really knowing how to manage that cash is important so that you can survive during that long process, and you have to have more than one house to sell. And right now, really crazy here, if you're a realtor in Los Angeles, that is just insane right now. So cash flow is, when we look at our cash inflow, it's either going to come from our sales, it's going to come from our accounts receivable, it's going to come from sale of fixed assets, it's going to additional revenue stream. And for me, that's huge. I think everyone should have multiple revenue streams. And as a mentor of mine says that she has a revenue stream for every financial obligation that she has. So she is never worried about how her money coming in. She just has a revenue stream that is that addresses that particular expense. Shared capital that's invested in your business, interest payments, bank loans. I don't necessarily call that inflow, but it is money coming in. Lines of credit and personal loans. These are basically the different types of cash inflows. Now, the cash outflows are payments to your suppliers, wages and salaries, which are all fixed, especially wages and salaries. These are the fixed expenses. Your operating expenses, payments for fixed assets. So those are things you have to pay every single month. Interest on your loans, overdrafts, dividends paid to shareholders, repayment of loans, and taxes on profits. Those are all things that are fixed. The only thing there, every last one of those things have to be paid. So as good as cash flow is to keep the business afloat, poor cash flow will sink it. So a good cash flow is one of the most important aspects of building a healthy business. It's often stated that cash flow problems are a major contributor to small businesses failures, as well as big business. Just if you guys look at what's going on in the world with Twitter right now, is that great business, right, had 250 million followers, but its only source of revenue was through advertisement, right? And so along comes Mr. Musk, and he's going to change it and generate revenue. But it's a company that was never based on revenue in the first place, so that's not that easy. That's easier said than done. And at the same time, they have very high overhead because in order to produce their product, they have to have human capital. They have to have the manpower. They have to have labor to make that happen. So they're in a fix. And because it never really was a revenue generating business model, now they have to he's trying to figure out what's the best way to create revenue generating generate revenue. Now, Charles says Amazon's announcing 1,000 layoffs today. But think about this, guys. Who do you think made the most money in 2020 and 21? Just take a guess. Charmin. Elon Musk. What did you guys do during the pandemic? It says how many of you on the call? 15 of you right now, plus 4 of us. You shopped online. Where did you shop online, Auntie Brown? Okay, but who is the major supplier? Amazon. Do you really think Amazon is hurting right now? Because have we stopped shopping? Have we stopped ordering online? No, we have not. So some of them are just jumping on the bandwagon. They didn't have a cash flow problem. They didn't have a cash inflow problem. They just decided that this is a great opportunity. And I think it's sometimes I don't know what is happening, but I do know that Amazon and supermarkets made the most money. They had record sales. They went over and above any sales forecast they had ever had in the life of their business. So there's really no reason for Amazon to be laying off 1,000 people. That's ridiculous. They're panicking because they say that it is going to be a recession, but at the same time, people are not going to stop spending money. So there is no denying that is important to plan for your cash flow. It should never be an afterthought. It should be something that you absolutely know how money comes into your business and how money goes out. So every business, no matter what industry you're in, you have ebbs and flows, right? There are times when you have more business, more money coming in, and then there are more times when it flattens, when it goes flat, and that's every industry. They're not always at the same time, but it's every industry. So, excuse me. So it's important to avoid and fix your cash flow problems. When you start your business, you really don't know what those ebbs and flows are going to be. But as you go through and are selling your businesses, your product or your services, you then begin to understand the trends and when you have your peaks and when you have your valleys. Like for my business, it's always been this way. By December, I do a lot of contract work. So by December, my contracts start to taper off because people are shutting down for the holidays, especially the organizations and that I train and teach for. And then for my clients, everybody is just like in the holiday spirit. So they're not looking to learn how to use QuickBooks. They're not looking, they may be looking at coaching, but more likely not. So my business basically shut down the last 2 weeks of the month. in December of every year. It has been this way for 30 years. So that means my accounts receivable will come in December, but I basically don't have too many accounts receivable that's outstanding that will carry me over into January. And when I again get to gear up again. So when I start to gear up again in January, then by February, by March, then I'm back on track again, right? So I understand this is the pattern in my business. So that means come September, I have to already be planning for how I'm going to manage for January through March, or at least January to the end of the February. Usually the March to February is such a short month. So over the years, I've learned how to float my cash, to be much more cautious throughout the last quarter of the year, and make sure that that quarter can keep me going until everything ramps up. How many of you know what is your ebbs and flow in your business? Right? Very, very important to understand when your money's coming in and when the money's going out. Now, main causes of cash flow is when you first start out your business is underestimating your startup costs. If you haven't created a business plan and really understand how much it costs you to start your business, then you may have a problem. So if you don't have a realistic budget in place with room for overages is necessary, which is necessary to help you prevent your cash flow, especially when you're just starting your business. So a number of you have said that you're just starting out. So you really need to know down to the penny how much it's going to cost you, not an unrealistic estimate, and not having a cash reserve will get you started on the wrong foot. So think how challenging it would be to run out of money before you even get started, before you even open your doors. And this happens more often than not. We just think that we're going to start a business and we're going to open up the doors and everybody's just going to flock in, and they're just going to be so excited about your product that you're not going to be able to make the product fast enough or provide the service fast enough in order to keep up with the amount of money. That's a fallacy. That does not happen that way. So expecting profitability too quickly, it really takes time. It really takes a brand new business anywhere from 1 to 2 years, unless you just got the hottest product under the planet and all the opportunities opened up and God blessed you with everything you needed. More than likely, that's not going to be the case. When you open the doors of your business, you probably hope that they're all going to be lining up, but that's not what's going to happen. A Cabbage with a K survey found that 84% of small business owners reach profitability within the first 4 years of their business and 68% profitability within the first year. It takes time to build a profitable business, and nearly 1/3 of all businesses won't hit that milestone in the first year. Now, there may be some like that client I just told you about. It just so happened everything lined up. But what she was doing is she was providing cleaning services during the pandemic. She started her business during the pandemic. And what were we doing? Making sure that everything was clean. So that made sense. Now that we're not in that time frame, now what she's experiencing now is what she would have been experiencing under normal circumstances. So if you're not prepared for profitability, this can create cash flow issues for you early on in your business. And if it starts early on, it's pretty much going to continue on throughout your business. It's hard to catch up if you never had what you needed in the first place. So, and if you didn't have a contingency in place to take care of those emergencies, an emergency fund, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, then it's a problem, right? The next problem is not creating a cash flow budget, not doing forecasting, not really looking at your numbers at all, and that is a problem. Overlooking high overhead costs. Sometimes, if we haven't created a business plan and we have not created our financials, we really have no idea what it's going to cost us to make that happen. Collecting your receivables too slowly. This is a big one. Um, I've had numerous of clients, they do all their invoicing at the first of the month, and they all have 30-day net, and they may have 10, 15 clients. But if all 10 or 15 clients are on the same day, first of the month invoicing structure, then that means all of your money is coming in at the first of the month, the next month. But at the same time, payroll may be going on twice a month. Um, your bills are staggering through the month, but you only have the biggest bulk of your money coming in at the first of the month. So it really behooves you to manage your accounts receivable so that they're coming in when you need the money to come in so that you can take care of all of your financial obligations throughout the month. And this one you would not think would be a problem, but it can be a problem because growing too fast is just as bad as growing too slow. So growing too quickly gives you a false sense of that your business is going so well that you can just spend recklessly because you feel that this is going to continue on for the life of your business. So that's not the case. So you really truly want your business to grow slow and steady. You want to have growth slow and steady and not growth coming in, all the money coming in at one time. There was last month, 2 years ago, there was a young lady that started her business. She had the opportunity of meeting an influencer that really liked the product that she had produced, and so that influencer had a huge following, and that influencer went on her social media and really pumped this young lady up, really to the point that when she sold out her product in 8 minutes, and she made over $1 million. But what happened was they bought everything. She had no more inventory when it was all said and done. And so then it took her months to replenish her inventory. And by that time, she had lost out on quite a few of those customers because those customers had run out of product and now they wanted to reorder. And it took her several months to put it back, get the product. So she did that twice though. When she came back the second time, she had enough product, but once again, she sold. And so she pretty much, that was it. She closed her doors. She didn't go back and reproduce her product. And so that was kind of end of it. She made $2 million, but that was the end of the business for her. So, and the next one is low profit margins. Now, this is a big issue for a lot of businesses, that your product is not, your pricing is not enough to cover the production of the product. So, meaning that your raw materials and supplies you need to produce your product is costing you more than what you're actually selling the product for. Plus, you haven't included your labor in the process of what it takes and how long it takes to produce that product. And so you price your product hoping that people will buy it at this nice, wonderful low price, but that price is not enough to cover, and you have no profit margin, right? You have a very low contribution margin. So pricing is an art, and it starts with you knowing your numbers. Your profit margins is the important matrix here. When you're analyzing your prices, you want to make sure your profit margin will tell you how much money your company makes on the money it earns, And too often business owners feel like they're grasping for air, barely able to keep up because you're selling, but bottom line is you're not selling it for enough money that will prevent you from having a low profit margin. So really, really important. How many of you feel your products are priced right? Anyone? Ladora says she does, most definitely. Yvonne says not me. Why, Yvonne? Not I, I'm wondering. Okay. Yvonne, why do you think yours is not, is it priced too low? Sarah, you too? Have you taken in consideration how much it costs you to produce it and the amount of time, the labor cost it costs you to produce it? Because those are the two factors, guys. So look at what it costs you, and those prices may have gone up because prices have gone up. Food is going up, right? So you have to adjust your prices based upon the cost of what it takes you to make your product. Because what will happen is you're biting into your profit, and if you don't have profit, then you're going to have a cash flow problem. Just because you have good ideas for business doesn't mean you have the experience with the necessary accounting and bookkeeping practices that is needed. And everyone has to really be able to manage and account for every dime that is going out of their business, and making sure that when you invoice or bill or sell your product, that is at least covering the basic expenses. Sarah says, much too high. Yes, I have considered that, but maybe I charge too much to have clients. I make skincare also a lot more dependable. Okay. What is the stats and the history says roughly 20% of new businesses fail during the first 2 years, 45% between the first 5 years, and 65% during the first 10 years, and only 25% of new businesses make it to 15 years or more. So these statistics have been consistent no matter what was going on, what major downturn was going on in the world. These numbers have not really changed over time. So what it says is maybe it's not an economic downturn that is a problem. Maybe it's just the not understanding how your money is flowing through your business. So that can be fixed, guys. Even during recessionary times, that can be fixed. And sometimes we see business owners see things and they see a future, but they don't know all the components that's going on with that future, right? If you don't do your analysis of areas that you put your businesses in, and you can't track the amount of foot traffic coming in, and how often they come in, and how much they spend, then you may have some problems. So even before the pandemic, businesses were closing. There were statistics that are out there way before the pandemic, and they were brick and mortar stores that were being forced out of business because there was a disruption in their marketplace, they didn't understand their marketplace, or they no longer were a viable business, and the model just did not work, right? And in some cases, like retail stores, for a minute, everybody was booming, right? Every corner you went on, there was a Target, there was a Forever 21, there was tons of CVS's, tons of Walgreens, but not necessarily enough people coming into certain stores and spending certain money. So when you have these big, huge store chains, what happens is the more profitable stores find themselves taking care of the less profitable stores, which then eventually eats into the cash flow of the overall corporation. So that is why those businesses start going out of business, because the other locations were not they were not the best locations, or the traffic just wasn't there to make sure that the cash flowing into the business equated to the cash flowing out of the business. So and then some of them, like Blockbusters, was just disrupted. They didn't anticipate that Netflix would come along, or Redbox would come along, or YouTube would come along with movies that you could watch and rent right there sitting at your home, so you no longer had to go out. So this business just went out of business because it was no longer viable in the marketplace. So business closures are not always about the lack of cash flow. Sometimes they're just about a lack of innovation, changing industries, too many locations, and also a new player that have emerged that has basically taken away your business. So it's really important for you guys as business owners to recognize where your business is going. So I believe it's Donna talking about doing your SWOT analysis, understanding where they're anticipating threats that are about to come into your marketplace, and how you can counteract that before it actually happens. So if you can do that, you have a better chance of survival than if you just assume that you can continue to do business within the space that you're doing and that you won't be affected. That's not true. You will be affected. I mean, if I didn't understand my market and understand and be able to pivot when I needed to pivot, I would have a problem. When I first started my business, I had such an extensive network that pretty much all of my clients came through word of mouth. But in 2007 and 2009, when we had that economic downturn, most of my clients were real estate agents and mortgage bankers who were doing extremely well because we were at the top of the marketplace. They had so much money, they didn't know what to do with their money. And then all of a sudden in 2008, it was gone, right? So I lost 65% of my clientele. But so I was able to pivot, and I pivoted into the teaching, consulting, coaching space, which has been which at that time people needed because they needed to figure out what was going to be their next move. So really understanding the industry you're in really helps, because that is why businesses fail. You're either outdated, your business model's outdated, you have a competition that you can't compete with, you have lack of funds, funding options are not there for you. You're not running your business properly. You don't have a strong financial structure. All of these things play into businesses failing. So I don't want you guys to be that case, and that's what we hear. What we're doing here at the Urban League is helping to better prepare you guys, making sure that you're business ready, making sure you're bank loan ready in the event that you need that capital. Now, let's talk about a topic that is very important in our community. Most of our businesses start out undercapitalized at the very beginning. Most of you did not go out and find a loan that really helped give you that security blanket that you needed in the very beginning. So you've actually been behind the eight ball even from the very, very beginning, right? You had to sell your product in order to make the profit, in order to be reinvested back into business. So most startup businesses are undercapitalized at the onset of their business. Most business owners frequently underestimate how much money is going to be needed to operate their business. Most overestimate how quickly they're going to sell their products and services. And most businesses haven't prepared for an emergency that is going to derail their business. Most of you do not have money set aside that is going to even cover 3 months of expenses, let alone 6 months to a year, right? And that's really what has to happen. You have to be prepared for whatever may happen in the future. So in business, cash is king. This means that businesses, you have to have cash in order to operate. And if you don't have cash, then and you're going through large fluctuations and and uh long droughts of cash coming in or not enough cash coming in, then you will find that you have a problem. So you're always trying to figure out how I'm going to pay my bills. You're more concentrated on how you're going to pay your bills than you are on selling the product that you're selling, right? And here's the other thing that I have found that um, we don't seek out the right help. We don't invest in the right sources. So a lot of times we feel we can do this stuff on a shoestring budget, but you do have to invest in good accounting software. You have to invest in a good accountant. You have to invest in a good bookkeeper. You have to invest in learning how to do it yourself if uh, if money for a bookkeeper or a CP or an accountant is a challenge, then the other alternative is have someone teach you how to do it, and you do it until you're in a position to hire someone to do it for you. And then the other thing is that most small business owners wear all the hats. And so you're pulling off every hat. You the salesperson, you the janitor, you the marketing person, you the CFO, the CEO, the everybody, right? You cannot be in that position forever. You have to be able to duplicate yourself so that you guys can not be, you can get into the practice of running your business, not actually operating the business and being the only person operating that business. So when that happens, you don't have time enough to really recognize that you are having a cash flow problem. You just know that if your thought process, if I work hard enough, this is going to turn around. But without a strategy, it's not going to turn around. You're just going to find yourself digging yourself further into a hole. So you have to really start your business understanding how your cash is going to come in and how your cash is going to go out, what you need to do. The most important thing, like I said about 3 slides back, is understanding how much money, how much time does it take for you to convert convert your inventory into cash so you can keep moving forward. So having lack of cash, having a lack of, it's not even a lack of cash, having a lack of cash strategy, strategic strategy really will bring your business down. So it doesn't matter what you're selling, how you're selling it, if you don't have a strategy that can carry you through, that you can depend on understanding the ups and downs of your business. So that's what we're going to talk about moving forward here is what are the strategies that you need in order to save your business or to move your business or to grow your business. Okay. So that's where we're going now. Any questions before I move forward here? All righty. First thing you have to do is identify where there may be problems and how you need to fix them, right? So here's a checklist on how to improve and identify where you're having your cash flow problems. So first area to look at is your sales. Some ways to increase and improve your cash flow is to increase the sales, particularly those that involve cash payments, because that gets the cash converted faster, right? A service may have a net of 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. So you got at least a time frame, and you're hoping that your clients are going to pay you in the timely manner. Most of the time they don't. So having cash payments or items that you can sell that derives immediate cash can help fill in those spaces while you're waiting for your accounts receivable to be cleared. Next is increasing your prices, especially to slow payers. So if you have accounts receivables that are out there, then create a payment policy. Give them a discount if that means the bulk of the money is going to come in early. You can afford the discount you're giving them. You cannot afford that no money comes in, right? So having a payment policy that lets your clients know if they don't pay in a certain time frame, if they pay past the due date, then there is a rate that's going to be charged to them, 1%, 2% for every late payment, and it will accumulate on a daily basis. That will get them to understand how serious you are about your cash flow, right? Next thing is you can offer, if they pay early or pay in advance, then they get you. There's a benefit for that. There's some sort of a discount for them if they do that. The reason you're doing that is to get your cash in faster, and so that it can meet, so you can meet your financial needs. Review the payment performance of customers who you're selling to, right? Then also see how frequently those shoppers are. What type of shoppers are they? Do they come in and spend a lot of money? Then if they do that, then you want to make sure you're marketing to those individuals to bring them back in, that you have good products and good services that will have them become repeat customers. That is also something. Being able to retain your customers, be able to maintain a good relationship with your customers so they come back to you more frequently than not. So that you can then increase the sales potential with that particular customers. If you happen to be a customer that grants credit, being more selective on who you're offering those discounts to, or who are you providing credit to. A lot of times, we want friends come in and they want the family and friends discount. That's cool. But if all of your family members and all your friends are coming in and get the family and friends discount, what does that mean to your bottom line, right? Sounds good, but then can you get the family and friends discount from your suppliers? No, they're not. A mortgage broker, your bank is not going to give you a family and friends discount. Your suppliers are not going to give you a family and friends discount. So really think that through before you start handing out the family and friends. You're in business to make money. Keep that in mind. You're in business to make money. Next way to improve your cash flow is to seek deposits and multiple stage payments. Break it up. And you're not doing it for their convenience. You're really doing it for yours. And the reason you're doing that is that even if you break it up in 3 payments, you have payments that are coming in throughout the month that can help you meet the payroll, that can help you pay the phone bill, that can help you pay the mortgage until you get to a better position. But for those of you that are doing service-based businesses, get a deposit, get half of it up front before you do the first job, or require that if you're good at what you do and you can vouch for the service and you provide them with the value proposition that they're expecting, they get paid up front. Reduce the amount of time and credit given to your customers. Again, that goes back to your family and friends discount. That's the best way I can say that. Next is your accounts receivable management. Bill as soon as the work has been done and the orders fulfilled. Don't wait. I have friends and clients, I have friends that we're all in this business. Me, as soon as the month is ended, my invoicing go out, everything stops on the 31st or the 30th of every month. I get my invoicing done before anybody does anything, before I do for anybody else, because I need to make sure next month that my payments, that my money is coming in so that I can take care of my financial obligations. So bill immediately. Don't hold it up. Don't do anything of that, make the time to make it happen. Set a date and put it on your calendar to make sure you're invoicing. Then generate regular reports on your accounts receivable and your aging to make sure that you understand what the time frame is. If something is delinquent, then make sure you send out an automatic reminder that this payment is due. If you have an accounting system like a QuickBooks, it actually does that for you. You set it up and you give it your terms, and then the day after it's due, there is a notification that goes out to gently remind the customer that that payment is due. Establish and adhere sound credit practices. Train your staff. For those of you that are in that type of business, use more proactive collection techniques. Again, create incentives that they will want to pay you early. Add late fees and charges where possible if you have chronic clients that are paying you late. They have their processes. You have to have your processes. The people that you owe money to, they don't have a problem telling you they're going to charge you a late fee, right? Credit card companies will charge you a late fee in a hot minute, but there's a reason why. They need to make sure that they're on top of their cash flow. Provide discounts for early payments. These are the things that will generate and keep revenue coming into your business. Eliminate excess inventory and reduce your expenses. So that's making sure that you're not overproducing. I think I saw somewhere in the chat here, you guys were talking about drop shipping and on-demand printing for shirts and products. That's the best way to go. So you don't have product sitting in your garage, gathering dust, not making any money. So make sure you're not overproducing. Keep your production costs down. And better yet, if you can find situations to eliminate your production costs, that is even better. Have multiple supply vendors available, especially right now, since we're going through a supply chain management. We're still in the thralls of that, making sure you have other options so that you not find yourself, especially those of you in the food-based business, having to run to a Rouse and pay a retail product versus to go into a wholesale a supplier where you get a discount or you're paying half the cost, but you go to Rouse because you didn't go and plan your time. You go to Rouse to pick up something that you could have picked up at your wholesale supplier that would have cost you far less. But when you pick up that from Rouse or Albertsons or Smart and Final or any place where you're paying retail prices, you can adjust your prices to incorporate that extra that you didn't pay, which is really 50% more than what you would have paid at your supplier. So think those things through. Is it worth it? Regulate the flow of product production for those of you who are producing products. Reduce your variable expenses. Review your inventory regularly so you don't find yourself ordering because you didn't order in a timely basis and you need to send extra and you have to pay a surcharge because you need to get it into your client. Some best practices for adopting for your accounts payable. Every small business wants to and needs to increase profits. So most business owners believe the best way to do that is by increasing sales. Excuse me. The reality is you can increase your profit margins by reducing your variable costs. By taking a closer look at your business operations, you will identify ways to lower your variable costs. So here's a great approach. In order to increase your sales, there is usually a corresponding increase in cost because of the increased amount of work involved. So increase profits quickly without increasing sales, reduce expenses, particularly your variable expenses. Okay, make sense? But the only way you can do that is have a good accounting system so that you can see how much you're spending. Review your financials every single month. Make sure you look and see what the pattern is. Are you paying too much, right? Make sure you understand the financial parts, the pricing and the payments that are going out of your business. That's the only way I can tell you guys how you reduce those expenses. So reducing expenses is the first thing you need to do is uh, identify what your variable costs are. That's really, and the production costs. Those are really the two places that you can reduce your expenses. Fix Know what your fixed costs are. So your rent, your mortgage, salaries, advertising, utilities, they are what they are. You don't want to reduce your advertising expenses and budget because now you have less people coming in. So you want to make sure you make sure that your advertising is a fixed expense because you need the people to come in. You need the people to come in and buy your product. Now your variable expenses are your hourly wages and your office supplies, and you can actually have multiple vendors so that you can reduce your raw materials and your packaging for your business. Yes, someone has their hand up. Ernest, you want to put it in the chat? Put your question in the chat. So this is really important, understanding how you can lower your costs. I had a client that I was doing her books for 10 years of the time frame she was in business. And then one day she asked me, she was trying to get a hold of get on top of her personal expenses. And she was also trying to adjust when she should go on payroll for her company. So instead of, she reached out to me and asked, could I teach her how to use the accounting software, QuickBooks is what I use, and show her what I do for her so that she would understand it. So I did. And at that point, we kind of shifted and I became more of a consultant where I would review what she did on a monthly basis but she was actually doing it. So that was the best thing that she could have done, because what she ended up doing is that when she was doing her books every single month, she was able to recognize the fact that was incorporated in her outflow every month. So there were electronic payments, and everyone should look at their electronic payments. There are things that we signed up for maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago, that we're still paying for today. Because when somebody else is doing your books, all I'm doing is making sure that the bank statement and the software are reconciled. That's all I'm doing. I can't question whether or not this is a service that you're still using or not. If it appears on the bank statement and it appears that it came out of your bank account, then it's reconciled for me. But she knew what she wasn't using anymore. And she was able to cut so much fat out of her budget that she was able to put herself on payroll. She was able to hire 4 employees, not contractors. She converted her contractors to employees with decent salaries. They're working full time. And by doing that, she literally increased her revenue or her sales by 65%. So today she took that increase. She paid off all her debt. So she's debt free. She had close to about $30,000, $40,000 in debt. She cleared that out. She hired 5, including herself. Now she's working on she actually is finished. She has actually established her 3-month, 6-month, and 1-year emergency fund. and she has them in different locations. She has her contingency fund, and now she's working on her retirement, making sure she's invested for her retirement from her business or when she decides to retire. And eventually, once she gets that funded and that's on track, she's then going to start putting away. She wants to buy property. Of course, that was before property got crazy, but that's her plan. So she has been budgeting and forecasting, and she knows where every dime in her business is going. And so that is what you need to do. In order to do that, though, you have to manage your books. You have to understand how and how the money comes in, how the money's going out. And yes, you can hire someone. It's easy to do that, but they will not understand. They will not understand your books or understand how you do business because it's not their business. So when you do, you take time to understand where you need to be. If you do have to spend money on a big ticket item, you want to make sure you have set up a emergency fund. You want to make sure you projected or forecast like, hey, I'm gonna need a new piece of equipment at the end of the year. Okay, let me address that. Let me make sure there's money. Let me put money aside for that so that I have what I need when I need it. So putting excess cash into a savings account or a money market for lean times can help you avoid having to borrow during this time. You can borrow from yourself. Making sure you're in control of, including your response to emergencies and the availability of emergency funds. If 2020 did not teach us anything, should have taught us how we want to make sure that we're not on the cash flow roller coaster. We want to make sure that we have money set aside for emergencies in all shapes, all sizes, from anything from sudden illness to a fire to a pandemic to you having to take time off from work where you're disabled and you're the sole proprietor of your business, that you can still pay your bills and that your savings, your personal household budget does not get affected. So it takes some thought process and some planning. Life is going to go on even if there's an emergency. So that means you're still going to need to buy your products, your supplies. If you're going to still be in business, for you personally, you still need to be able to pay for the roof over your head and the food that goes into your belly, and that you have utilities and your phone so that you can continue to do business. Make sure this is both your personal and your business. Make sure you have an emergency account set up and emergency money's there. And if you guys need some help with that, if Greg is still on the line, Greg is that's what he does. He does financial literacy change education to help you understand exactly what it takes to be successful and how to keep your money and be on good terms with your money. Other ways to resolve your cash flow roller coaster is to create and use a business budget. Make sure you understand what that means. So right now, everyone should be prepared by December 31st to run a financial report, or at the latest January, to run your financial report and look back and see how much money you made, how much money you spent, and then sit down and forecast and budget for 2023. You actually probably should already be doing it. But if you haven't, then that should be something that you make sure that it's a part of your annual year-end financial planning, right? So looking back historically to see what you've done over the year, understanding where your ebbs and flows are in your business, have a good solid clear understanding of how your money is moving through your business, then budget historical numbers to budget for the next year, and then stay within your budget. Also recognize what you need to do to increase the your sales. So that's the forecasting, understanding how many customers it takes for you to increase. And the best way to do that is set a number that you want to make. So let's say next year, you guys, I don't know where you are financially this year, but let's say next year you say, I want to be able to gross $125,000 for 2023. Just a number I'm throwing out there for you. So then you have to say, what does that mean? So for me to do that, how many products do I need to sell? How many services do I need to sell? How many people do I need to sit? How much? What does that look like every month? So if I'm going to say you 125,000 for my mathematicians, you need to make $10,000 a month, right? So if I need to make $10,000 a month based upon what I charge for my products and services, how many clients and how many products do I need to produce that I need to sell for that month in order to make sure my minimum is $10,000 for that month? Now, taking into consideration in your highs, then you have to be able to adjust that over the months that is slow. So that means the months that are high, you have to make sure that you can make enough in those months to compensate for those low months, or increase your marketing so that you can get those numbers up so that you're consistent every single month. Does that make sense to everyone? Let me see a show of hands. Some of our industry makes that a little bit difficult. And if that's the case, then we have to look at some other revenue streams besides what the product or services that we're selling to make sure that we still can meet that number. We just may have to have other products in order to do that. That's called generating additional revenue streams. Okay. So right now is when we should be looking at what we want to do for 2023. I also want to tell you that waiting to do your taxes and go in February or April, and then that should not be the time you found out how much money you'd made for the year in April when you got your taxes done, or whenever you happen to get your taxes done. You're supposed to know what that is month after month after month. Now, so the difference between a budget report and a cash flow report, the cash flow is the financial statement that summarizes the amount of cash and cash equivalents entering and leaving the company at any given time. So cash and cash equivalents could be actual physical cash, any capital investments into your business, or any financial investments into your business that is going to generate cash that is going to flow out to pay for your financial expenses. So cash flow statements measure how well a company manages its cash position and how well the company generates cash to pay its debt obligations and fund its operating expenses. That's what cash flow means. So it complements your balance sheet and the income statement, which is a mandatory part of your company's financial records. So making sure, let me ask that question. You guys are not very receptive tonight, but how many of you have, if it's not you running it, somebody is providing you with a profit and loss statement every month, a balance sheet every month, and a cash flow statement every month, and they're explaining to you what your cash position is for each month? Anyone? Are you guys doing the guessing process, the strategy? No one? There's 10 people here. No one? Okay. All right. We need to be more in touch with what's the most important part about you guys being in business? Why are you guys in business? Passion? You guys not interested in making money? Okay. So if we're in business to make money, I don't know how. I know cash flow is important. Only quarterly, you're doing, John, you working for your quarterly taxes. That's not the reason to be in business, John. To work to pay taxes to Uncle Sam. There are 3 cash flow types that companies should track and analyze to determine the liquidity and solvency of their business. Remember what I said in the very beginning? Profitability is your key factors and solvency. So cash flow, you want to be able to track and analyze the cash flow from your operating expenses, cash flow from your investment activities, if that's something that your business does, and cash flow from your financial activities. All 3 are included on your cash flow. So when you get to that place where you do need to have financial activities, meaning you have to have a loan or a line of credit in order to meet the gap until you have cash coming in, you need to understand that it's doing exactly that, right? That is really serving the purpose of why you went and got that loan. So before you go and to a bank and ask for a loan, you have to know why you're doing it. And you really have to explain to them why you're doing it. And what they're looking for is that you're going to use that money to grow your business. If they're going to give you money, what they want to see is what is the projections that going to take place, the increase in your profitability, that will make it worthwhile them giving the money, not just to get the loan to bridge a gap, but there's no benefit on the other side other than that. So they're more apt to give you money if it has a growth potential on the other side of it. Okay, just something that you guys need to know. That's how bankers think. Bankers are in the business to provide loans because that's their business model. But they also want to make sure the people that they're providing the loan for are going to be good stewards of that loan, and they're going to use that loan to increase their finances. Any of you that got grants or anything during the pandemic, I hope you used that money to either take classes that would increase your potential sales growth. You did something with that money, and the Urban League has a lot of relationships where you get grant, that there's potential for grant, but don't just get the grant because it's there. Get the grant and have a plan that is going to either buy new equipment that's going to increase your ability to make money, or you're going to take some classes that's going to increase your ability to make more money, or you're going to use it for marketing that also is going to increase your profitability to make money. Make sense? If not, no need to have the loan because it's all you're doing is got the loan, right? Some ways to resolve your cash flow roller coaster is to identify additional revenue streams, be able to acquire, if you have great credit and you have a good relationship with your bank, a line of credit that will provide you with your working capital, and consider your lending bank options. But again, have a goal, have a reason, have a purpose for going for a loan, not just go get the loan because every month you find yourself short. No, get the loan because you find yourself short and you need to be able to increase the profitability of your business. Now, how can you do this? Because it seems like a lot, right? We're coming down to the end. You want to work with your management team or your consulting team. You want to reach out to the Urban League and have some counsels with myself or any of the other counselors there that can help you come up with new ideas for business lines or products or services that can pick up the slack during those low cash months, and also can help you generate revenue and increase your profitability. If you guys need to meet with me or any of the other counselors at the Urban League to help you do your forecasting for 2023, that's what we're here for, is to help you increase your profitability. We want you as small businesses in our community to be in a position where you can hire employees so that you can increase your sales without burning yourself out. We don't want you to be the solopreneur. We want you to be the CEO of your organization with a number of employees that's part of your staff that's helping you generate more revenue. That's what we want. We don't want you just to be in business for yourself and one day you either fall down ill, die, or you just walk away from the business because you're just exhausted. That's not what we're wanting you to do. We want you to be able to position your business so it is business ready, contract ready, and bank loan ready, and that you can create a succession plan that one day you can sell your business and then you can go and sit on a beach in the Bahamas and enjoy yourself because you got enough cash in the bank and you were able to retire like you would if you were working for a company. That's what we want you guys to do. So I hope that is everyone's goal. But the only way we can get there is to manage your finances. So you have to have a good accounting system to do that, either QuickBooks or there's a software that I teach. I teach both of these products. I don't know, John, maybe we can set up some classes in 2023 for me to do a class on QuickBooks or Wave. Well-managed cash flow helps you grow your business and grow and handle your finances using a good quality accounting system so you'll know your cash position all at any point in time throughout the month. Learning to manage your cash flow is the fundamental building block for managing your business finances. If you got that down, then you can start thinking about how to really grow your business and improve your margins and your profit. There's a famous saying that revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, but cash is reality. And that is the simple truth about us doing business. Simply put, financial management begins and ends with the cash. If you don't actually have cash on hand for your business needs, you start hitting blockers in your operation. Managing your cash flow is all about figuring out when you're going to have cash in your hand, figuring out how to get more in your hand faster, and how to manage your spending so you don't run into cash flow problems. Okay? So summary, bookkeeping matters and very important. Lines of credit is excellent for cash, for working capital, because you're not in debt. Generating cash flow statements will keep you abreast of what your cash position is, analyzing that cash position, figuring out whether you need to increase your cash flow, cutting expenses when you need to, speeding up your accounts receivable, and you keep doing this is a rinse and a repeat every single month, knowing exactly what your financial positions are. So tools to calculate your cash flow is a link right here. You guys will get a copy of this presentation, and you can go there and it can help you determine what your cash flow is. So you have at least that groundwork. But what we really would like is for you to be really good stewards of your business and be able to produce if we request a profit and loss statement that you guys can go to your accounting system, put in a time frame and generate a profit and loss. And when you sit down and we meet with myself or any of the other counselors at the Urban League, we can see that your business is growing. That will make us extremely happy. So if you guys need a consultant, reach out to the Urban League. They will give you schedule a time with me or give you my scheduling link, and we can start talking in 2023 and planning for your future and making sure that you guys are making a major difference in our community, because you guys are creating profitable and solvable businesses that's going to help us grow, which will make us a better community, which will give us more power and more say-so in what happens in our lives. So I want to thank you guys for attending. There is my contact information. Reach out to the Urban League if you want to consult with me, and they will make that happen. Any questions from anyone? We got 3 minutes. All right, John, I kick it back over to you.
Sounds great. So thanks, Crystal. Again, another fantastic presentation. Can I ask you, Crystal, to put the information for how to get the presentation in the chat? I know you have it on your presentation, but can you put it in the chat
Okay.
so people can see as well? Okay.
Okay.
And
I
thank
think
you.
do you guys want me to send it? I'll send it over to you guys, or do you?
Yeah, just go ahead and email it over to us, and then we'll pull the list of attendees,
Okay.
send it over that way.
Okay,
That sounds
I'll
great.
do that.
Okay, so everyone will
Okay.
get a copy of the presentation so everyone can see it. And then just wanted to let everyone know. So Crystal did a fantastic job today, like she always does. And so, you know, just please give her props. Everybody needs to feel the love. She certainly shared the love, so please make sure she feels it back. The other thing I wanted to say is just to let everyone know, on December 8th, and we're just about to advertise it, but on December 8th, we're going to have a special presentation with regard to cybersecurity. So everyone who's doing anything in the 21st century needs to be able to access computers, et cetera, and so on, but doing it without the proper security could create as many problems as running out of cash, because it'll just drain your cash that same kind of way. So please look out. Samir's going to be getting that out to folks, and as will the rest of us. And we hope to see you as part of that as well. And I guess that's it for now. Thank you everyone for coming out tonight. And we look forward to connecting with you again very shortly.
All righty.
Good night, everyone.
Samir,
Thank
you
you
want me
again,
to send that
Crystal.
to you?
Say it again.
Samir, I asked,
Yes.
do you want me to send it to Samir or send it to you, John?
Send it to Samir, please, if you would. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, send
Thank
it to
you.
me. Thank you.
All righty. Thank you, guys. See
Thanks,
you next
everyone.
time.
Good
Happy
night. Thanks so much.
holidays.
Bye now.
Good night, everyone.
Happy
Bye-bye.
holidays.